I'm Sarah Turner, freelance medical copywriter and copywriting mentor, and I figured I would share some of my crappy jobs that I had before copywriting that led me to copywriting because they were super influential in why I wanted to work for myself. So basically, I've had 3 major jobs. I've also done other stuff, here and there. But the 3 jobs that really pushed me towards working for myself in copywriting were, first, I worked on an environmental cleanup site. It was an old paper mill that had a lot of toxic waste. And I worked for the environmental cleanup company. And while I was working for them, first, one of the things I really liked is that I got to work partially in a lab and partially outside. So I really liked that, and I learned that about myself, that I enjoy doing things, that are intellectual, but then things that are also physical. So I was a research associate there, and I, also felt like what I was doing was valuable work because I was helping clean up toxic waste. And make it a place that was going to be able to be used for other things. So that felt really good. It felt good. It felt like I was actually doing things because I was doing things that were physical. But one of the issues I had with that job was, one, it was extremely hard work. It was like physical labor in some cases. But also, I didn't really want to be around toxic waste forever. And it was something that really concerned me because some of the people I worked with had health conditions that they didn't seem to think was because of the job they had, because we did wear, protective gear, hazmat suits, things like that. But I didn't really want to sacrifice my own health, for a company. And that was something else that I didn't really like. This was a major, huge, massive company I was working for, and I was actually a number. So if I had to call HR or deal with anything that had to do with like payroll or something like that, I would have to submit my number. They didn't know my name. They referred to me as a number. And I was just like, wow, I do not want to work at a company this big who does not know, that doesn't know who I am. I'm literally a number to them. So that kind of bugged me and rubbed me the wrong way. I will say the thing that kept me at that job were the people that I worked with immediately and directly were wonderful. Like, I absolutely loved them, and they were very good friends of mine. But I really decided that giant corporations was not the place for me. I also really didn't like that if I worked hard, it didn't really seem to matter, because again, I was working in this massive corporation. And so working hard didn't really matter. It was more about how long you were at the company. And that kind of leads me to the next job I had. So the next job I had was working again as a research associate on a biofuels grant. And it was, again, really interesting. I always have really liked, physical work. And so it was half lab work, half physical work. But the thing that really bothered me was that it was, again, a job where it didn't matter how hard you worked, and I'm a hard worker. You kind of had to wait in line. And also, not only that, but there was kind of just a general attitude about hard work and how it wasn't really valued. In fact, a coworker of mine came into my office one day and said, you don't really need to work that hard. You're kind of making us look bad. That was kind of the general gist. And I was shocked. I mean, just like, what? You're literally telling me to work less hard? And so that was another situation where I was like, wow, I would love to be able to progress at my own pace and, come in, do the work I need to do, and not just sit there and fill out the rest of the time. So that was the other thing, is I would get my work done in a fraction of the time. And then I would have to just kind of sit in my office for hours and hours. Where I wasn't really necessary and it wasn't really needed. And I just sat there and thought long and hard about how it was such a waste of a life to be sitting in this office, not really doing anything because I worked hard and got my work done fast. I was like, man, if I work hard and get my work done fast, I would like to earn back my time. So that was really frustrating for me. And then also the other thing is that if I wanted to progress in that kind of world, I was going to have to go back and get my PhD. And I really considered it. I knew that my family wanted me to get, they really value higher education. I even told them for a while I was going to get my PhD. I was studying to get into a PhD program and taking all the steps, even though my heart wasn't in it, because I was just like looking at the mountain of debt I was going to take on joining this PhD program. And then also looking at the increase in salary it would earn me, which was not a lot. I think it was like $10,000 a year increase. It was not worth it. I was like, this math does not work out. And so those were kind of the things. I didn't want to have to wait in line. I didn't want to have to go back to school unless it was actually going to like benefit my life in a major way. And also, don't get me wrong, I love school. That's why I was a research associate. I loved learning. It's my favorite thing, and that's why I became a copywriter, is because I get paid to learn. So those were kind of the jobs that got me thinking, this doesn't really make any sense. Like, why are we putting in hours when we could really just be putting in tasks? I think it makes so much more sense to work on a task-based system where it's like, these are the things that need to get done. If you get them done faster than most people, you should earn back your time or earn more money. It should come back to you. But in a major corporation, that is just not how it works. You sit there and you clock your time. Anyway, enough of that. I had a hard time with it. So I decided I was going to work for myself. And the first career choice that I was going to do to work for myself was I was going to be an event planner. So I kind of got that a little bit from my mom. She loves to throw events. I love helping her. I love flowers. I love cooking. So I was like, I think I can be an event planner. I'm going to do that. So I started my own event planning business, and it was extremely successful very fast. In fact, I remember during the first year thinking to myself, whoa, how are people trusting me with this? I don't have a PhD in event planning. How could they possibly trust me with their event? But I take things very seriously, and I showed up and I did a good job, and I earned a reputation pretty quickly. So that was really eye-opening to me. What that taught me was that when you show up, you do the work, you work hard, you do a good job, and you build a reputation for yourself, you can move up the ladder when you work for yourself much more quickly. So that not only shocked me, but it also taught me that very important lesson. But the thing about event planning is it just wasn't what I was looking for. First of all, it is extremely hard work. I have an insane amount of respect for event planners, but what is interesting to me, or at least in my experience, is people didn't tend to respect the work that I did. They thought it was easy. They thought it was, it was something anyone could do, but they didn't realize that a lot of event planning is actually building relationships and nurturing relationships and being able to communicate with a ton of people and getting them to cooperate. So it was this very difficult career, but also didn't have a lot of respect, which kind of bothered me. But also on top of that, it wasn't my thing, So sometimes I think that's important, is there are, careers that are specifically for someone, there's somebody out there who was made to be an event planner, and that is, what they were made to do, but it wasn't for me. And so I would feel it. I would just be like, this isn't my thing. And one of the ways I knew that was when people would ask me what I did for work, I wasn't really excited to talk about it. I was just like, oh, I'm an event planner. Yeah, it's great. And so that was a really revealing moment for me that I wasn't really proud of the work I was doing, even though I was proud of the work I was doing, because it was just very intense. I have some seriously insane stories from being an event planner. But that gave me the courage I needed to realize that I could work for myself. I just needed to find my thing. So those were the 3 crappy jobs that I had that really led me to copywriting. And the reason I chose copywriting was because I get paid to learn, and that is one of my favorite things. I love learning. If I could have been paid to be a student forever, I would. But I realized that is literally what I'm doing as a copywriter. So I love that I'm getting paid to learn. I love that I'm always learning. The other thing is I love that when I improve, my skill set improves, and my work brings more value to my clients, that those earnings are passed on to me, not some corporation. So I really, really love that. The other thing is that I love that it is location independent. That was actually another lesson I learned as an event planner. I did not want to be stuck in a town that I didn't want to be in. And that's actually what ended up happening. When I decided to stop event planning, I had an entire year's worth of events that I had to go through and do and show up for, even though I was ready to move on. So I did not like that. And it's also one of the reasons I am so adamant about setting up my business so that I have as much freedom as possible. It's why I will always be a freelancer and never work at an agency. It is, why I work for myself. It's why I chose something that is location independent. I can take with me anytime I want to go on a trip, anytime I want to travel. So that was very important to me. And then also having the flexibility to take care of my health. That was something that I didn't have with the first two jobs, especially the first one. I was really worried about the impacts of working around toxic materials, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be able to have more say over what I was putting my body through. So those are some of the lessons I learned during those jobs. I wouldn't trade them for anything, Something that I've realized is I've learned so many lessons from each of those things that have made me better at my job as a copywriter. So it has been a long and funny little journey. I have learned so many important lessons, and it's really those experiences are what helped me create a life that I truly love every single day. So I think it's really important when you have something that bothers you or, frustrates you or even makes you mad in your life. Those are important things. Don't look away. Don't squash them down. Those are telling you exactly what you need to do and what changes you need to make to create a life that you actually love. One more little quick story. I used to get so sad that I would go to work in the dark and come home in the dark in the winter at my first two jobs. I mean, it was so depressing to me. I didn't get to see sunshine unless I was working outside. And that was another thing that kind of influenced the decisions I made to create a life that I want, which included being able to work when I want. So, in the summer, I work maybe a little later because the sun stays out later. In the winter, I end my days a little earlier so I can go out and be in the sun. I moved to California again so I could be in the sun more. So these are all things, and I really want to encourage you when you have something that gets kicked up at your job, something that you're like, I wish I had more say in X, Y, or Z, write it down. Those are the things that you can use to inform the decisions you make to create a life that you really love. And that's just like the most important thing that I have learned. And I want others to learn too. We live in an abundant time with so much opportunity, and you really deserve to figure out what you want your life to look like. We have so much opportunity. Anyway, I would love to hear what you think in the comments. What is one of your least favorite jobs you've ever had? And also go ahead and hit that thumbs up button if you like this, and hit that subscribe button as well. I will be releasing videos every week. And thanks, guys. Until next time.